This is the Reconstructed Man podcast, and I'm your host, Layne Ingram. The Reconstructed Man podcast is a place where we explore the transgender experience by sharing our stories and lifting up the voices of others. It's for everybody, trans, cis, and everywhere in between. The show is about building community and connections, and I am so glad that you are all here listening today. Today, I have a very special guest. As you know, every other episode of season 2, I'm going to try to have a guest, somebody who is part of our community, adjacent to our community, an ally. And today we have somebody really special. His name is Damien Lopez. He is the author of the children's book, I Am a Prince. I love this book. Damien, welcome, and thank you for being on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So you're an author, which that's one of my big dreams and goals one day. So we'll get to that. But tell me a little bit about you. Like, who are you? What's your story? Like, how do you identify? What's your life? Tell me all about it.
Okay. So I am Puerto Rican. Yay. Boricua. We're so proud. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. And I really have just been a homebody to Newark and New Jersey most of my life. I've been in and out to Puerto Rico a lot as a child. And, you know, went to public school, like grew up on South 8th Street in Newark. So like there is an adventure in and of itself because Newark is already so diverse. So a lot of, I feel like typical Puerto Ricans like, yeah, we lived above the bodega, and like my cousins lived across the street, and we don't like the block, and like that. I know the typical like Hispanic, oh boy, and yeah, I went to public school, and then I decided to go to high school for culinary arts. So I went to North 13th in Newark, and then I decided to continue to do that. So I ended up getting my associates at Hudson County Community College for culinary arts. And then I furthered that and I got my bachelor's of nutrition and food sciences at Montclair State. I graduated January 2020. And now I'm just hanging out with my book and I'm not doing much lately, but I've just been working more with like the book and getting like the book out there. So that's my little gig right now. And then I'm also just gotten back into an like professional development program to get my teacher certification to teach hospitality to high schoolers.
Wow. I love community college. Community college has played a big role in my life. My dad's worked for one since I was like 6 years old. And then my day job is at a community college. And so I love to hear that. And congratulations on your degree last year, right before COVID. So at least you kind of got to celebrate.
Yeah. It was we did a little celebration in like May with like social distancing and kind of told everyone to wear masks and get tested before they came. And it was like maybe 5 of us. So that was exciting to see my friends. I didn't go to my graduation, but I did decorate my cap and, I did that. It was really cute. I do like a Jurassic Park theme. It was very funny. Because I love Jurassic Park. I'm like obsessed with dinosaurs.
Who doesn't love Jurassic Park?
I always tell kids that are presently, I'm doing clinical hours. So I usually tell the kids, if you're going to do culinary arts, go to community college. And New Jersey just made it easier to go to community college anyway with the like free tuition program. And I thought that was amazing.
Yep. Very good. So tell me about this book, I Am a Prince. Okay. What made you write it? Who's it for? And, why is it important? Tell me about it. Tell me about how this came to be.
I think it's a funny story because originally I had saw on a TikTok, like I had just gotten on TikTok, so it was new, and I was scrolling through some things, and then I saw this very quick TikTok where it's like, here's to make some side money, just make a book, and I was like, what? So I was like, all right, I'll save that video for later, and then so with my medical transition, I had came out as trans in like 2019. And so when you first come out, it's like you're going like head deep, diving into the water. You're like, all right, my social, like these are my pronouns. You just want everything to start changing as quickly as possible. And so that was me. And I was like, everyone uses these pronouns. I'm doing this. Like, come on, I'm getting my name changed. I'm doing all these things. But I'm fortunate enough to have gotten my name changed, top surgery, and my social and medical transition to such a reach within a year during the pandemic, especially. So I'm very fortunate to have that. So it was after I had seen that TikTok and I kind of saved it for my archives. And then after my top surgery in November, right before my birthday, it was my birthday gift, my top surgery.
Wait. Hold on a minute. Wait, you got your top surgery in November before your birthday? When's your birthday? In November 1st.
November 17th.
My birthday is November 20th. Okay. Awesome. And I also, right? And I also got my top surgery in November of 17, the week after my birthday. It was like my birthday,
What?
Thanksgiving. Yeah. Hey, I feel you. Nice. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt, but like, sweet.
That's awesome. Oh my God. I love hearing about other people's stories. It's beautiful. Um, so I was super excited to see my top surgery. Oh my God. That was a long story in and of itself. But so that was my birthday gift. And then I kind of sat down and I was thinking about it. And I said, you know what? I think I actually will write a book. Like, I want to do that. I think that's something, on my bucket list. That's amazing. That's a good opportunity. And then, after the motions of waking up from top surgery and they're on anesthesia, I'm like, I think I want to do top surgery. I mean, top surgery. I think I want to do my book about my transition and about being trans and the experience of trans. And so that turned into that. So I ended up going, writing a story, and it took me a while to try to figure out which words I wanted to use to really define and elaborate on the experience of being trans, but for children. And it ended up being something that I wanted to rhyme. Like, I really wanted to rhyme. I wanted it to be representation of trans youth and our own voices as a Puerto Rican. And once I wrote it, I thought it was good. I made some tweaks here and there, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. I think I found the voice. I think I found the voice I've been looking to say and use. And I found an artist on Fiverr, which is a really good resource for like independent artists. Her name is Mutara Arum, and she's amazing. Oh my gosh, she showed me her artwork. She gave me an example, and I was like, this is perfect. You have to be the person doing this book, because it just has a authentic feeling of like just the art itself is just like, it looks like it has culture. It looks like it has like home to it when she sent it to me. And I sent it to my sister, and she's like, that's it. You want this one. And I was like, yes. And then, yeah, so she did the art for me, and I put the art together using like a little online Canva, which was actually really convenient. And I did it on Amazon. It was self-published, and it was, what was it? It was free, so that was great. But I really wanted it to be accessible for people, so I thought Amazon was the best choice.
So
Mostly,
tell
I
me,
wanted it
is
to be
this
for
is
trans
this
parents.
about is this you? Like, I mean, is this how your parents responded? Is this a dream? Is this a
That
wish? Tell me.
I think it's more of a dream, really. I was actually thinking about that the other day. I had sent it out to someone else who ordered one, and I said, this may not be my story, my specific story, but I know this would be the story that others need to hear. In my experience with my story is that my father supports me 100%, and I'm really happy for that. My mother does not support me, and I've had a few fallouts of friends and family that didn't accept me after I came out as trans. But I think we needed more of a heartfelt story. We needed more of a supportive story as trans youth and like as
Right.
representation.
Acceptance, love, that this is, that you are okay. And if you use your voice, if you feel this and say it out loud, absolutely. I mean, that's what I got. Okay, I want to tell you my favorite part. And I did a little video about this, but it's just like, as a trans guy, right? I wish I had known when I was younger. But I don't know how it would have turned out. And so when I read this part, okay. So this is my favorite part. It's page 18 for everybody, okay? And it's after the prince has told the king and queen, his parents, that he's a prince, not a princess. Okay, so he says, at first, the king and queen did not understand. The prince had to explain how he felt. The king and queen nodded their heads and smiled. What can we do to help? So they changed his room to his favorite things and colors. No more dresses for thee. The prince smiled as he looked in the mirror. I finally feel like me. And it's like every time I read that part, one, I get goosebumps, and it does have the amazing illustration because he's looking in the mirror, but it's like you get goosebumps because you wish and you hope that for kids. And I I I'm happy that this exists, and so why do you think this is important? I told you why I think it's important. Why do you think it's important?
I think it's important because it's kind of like be the adult you wish your younger person needed the most. And what I needed the most was acceptance and support and terminology just to understand where I found my place in the world, and so many kids need that representation to finally say, that's me, or I can finally see myself. And that really does help you so much with mentality wise and like social skills wise to find your niche in the world. And when I had sent it out, I had sent it out to this one TikToker. She's a mother of a trans son,
Mm-hmm.
and she said she read it, and then her son like cried after they read it, and then her son looks up to her, and he goes, "Mom, this is exactly how I felt." And I'm getting goosebumps again. But
Yeah.
that's the response that it has for the kids who need it the most is what
Yep.
I'm looking for, and it's what it's here for.
Same. It's the same way I feel about this podcast, right? Like if one person listens to it and is like, "Hey, all right, so there is a dude out there that's like me and I could be okay, or I can find community, or like they reach out because they found me, like then it's worth it. 100% because we all have to be there. Like I was so happy to find you. I have this idea going in my head like how can I get all the trans people together? Like what could we do? Like we need transcon. But you know what I mean? Like let's all what could we talk about? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to something you said. Um, Unless you don't really want to talk about it, but because family is hard, and I think about my own journey, right? And I wonder how similar ours are because you're younger than me. I just turned 40 in November, so I'm sure I've lapped you quite a bit. But I had to live a good portion of my life female, and like you've got to be in your 20s. So, I mean, you're just looking forward as I mean, what was it like when you came out, and as you're looking towards the future, like how excited are you to have like the next 60 years to be yourself?
That wow, that's actually really a good question because I'm in the process of like actually understanding that because I live with someone who's a nurse and she's worked for a trans health center. So she sees me and she's like, "Look, you're like, I know what's going on." Because I after top surgery and after my name change and stuff like that, I had kind of fallen into this little like depression, and she was trying to figure out, what's wrong, and I'm like, I don't even know what's wrong. And I talk to her, we're sitting down, we have a heart to heart, and she's like, you're at this point now, you're presenting as Damien. You are Damien. You have your top surgery. You're getting gender information, things like that. And now you were looking to this moment for such a long time, and now that it's here, you're like, well, now, what do you do
Mm-hmm.
from here? Now you just have to live because
Yeah.
now you're not facing the depression of concealing yourself or like having to present as female. You're not dealing with emotions of questioning your gender. You're not dealing with the people with all these like internal demons and traumas that you've been going through. And she's like, now you just have to literally live your life. And I'm like, oh my God. And it hit me. And I was like, I was so sad because like now I'm just like, as Damien, what am I gonna do for the rest of my life? And I could just do whatever. I could be Damien. I could be free. I don't have to be like, you know,
Yeah.
um
Isn't
scared
it great
anymore.
though? I mean, like okay, so I'm with you. Like when you arrive, and so like with me, when I finally saw it, like really like, okay, you got there, and so the euphoria, the confidence, like people tell me like you even walk a little bit different now. Um, but I'm with you because there's that other part of like, okay, but like how also do I act? because you're still yourself and you're going to act like you and be you, right? But like you're also a man that is presenting now, and there are things that you think about. I I love the concept of that. So, so your journey was like how'd you figure it out? Like when did you know you were trans?
Uh, I had always been a tomboy when I was younger, but I just thought that that's how I was. And so I was the one, like playing in the dirt and like doing all their like boy consider stuff. I still love blue. Like it's just blue is just a good color. And my family always just considered me to be like the boyish one. And I'm like, okay. And I think when what really I should have known, I was just reflecting on this the other day too. And I'm like, I did this and I should have known. I should have known that was something.
Right.
And when you're like in like fifth grade, I was like, I'm gonna dress up today. My name's Michael. And they're like, why? And I was like,
Right.
don't ask, I'm just Michael today.
Because I'm Michael today.
it was, and I'm like, I should have, I don't know if that didn't awaken anything in me. Um, and so,
That's
I had
hilarious
been
to
telling.
me. Like when you look back, like little stuff that happens, like how did you not know? Like what? But if it's not in your realm
It's
of
so
personality, if it's not in your realm and your atmosphere, if your, family's not about it or for it, if you're in the church, right? Like that's how
yes.
I was. But yeah. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, so my family were Puerto Rican. My parents' sides are two different sides, but I grown up with my mother and she was raised as Pentecostal. And so I grew up in a very
Same.
Christian Catholic household. So already there's this whole taboo in like Puerto Rican culture to like, shun the gayness or like, you can't do this. This is fresh. And I'm like, what? So there is a lack of representation and like just talk about it. It's always like, you can't be gay because that's equivalent to smoking cigarettes around my abuelita. And I was like, no, it's not. What is that? Um, so that was that like some introduction. And once I had gotten to high school, I noticed that I kind of liked girls and I kind of like had this thing going on. And fast forward, I'm in college and I went to MSU and they're one of the top like, LGBT inclusive schools. So once my friend had spoken out to me, I met this girl, her name's Taylor, and she's like, yeah, I go to these groups and I go to the LGBT center because it's, everyone's really nice and welcoming there. And so I started hanging out there. I went to a few workshops about LGBT vocabulary and things like that. And I'm sitting there like, I I feel things, man.
Right.
something
Like, are these my
something's adding up.
people? Are these,
Yeah, like
are these
something.
my people?
I'm like something's here adding up, guys. And I kind of went through a few different identities and try to figure out, at first I was gender queer and lesbian, like trying to figure out my niche, like what felt right. And then I remember having seeing this little small YouTube video of someone, oh man, I forgot the video, but it was so beautiful because there was two people talking about their experiences being trans, and someone talked about it how he was tired of shape shifting and having to pretend of being someone else. And I started crying. And I saw that video. I started sobbing because I was doing my research about, I'm like, what is transgender? What does this mean? And then I like ran into my sister's room and I was like, I think I'm trans. And she's like, I always wanted a brother. And then like
Nice.
there was like it just hit me and I was like, okay, this is happening. And I started transitioning socially and then medically. And I'm over a year on testosterone now. And like it's just been uphill since. And I found my people. I'm actually in the family found situation and chosen family, which have been so accepting and so
Mhm.
loving. And they're just as amazed as my transition as I am.
I see you with the facial hair 1 year on, by the
I'm,
way.
I
Okay.
am trying.
You got it
I look at my
going.
dad and I'm like, what's going on, Dad? I'm looking at you. Your bald spot's up here, but I need the hair
Right.
here. Like,
It's so crazy. I mean, they're just okay. So you made two great points. One is that's why books like the one you wrote are so important, right? More representation, more awareness. And then like the podcast, people like you being on Twitter, being vocal, because you sound just like me. Like when it clicks and you're like, I I'm trans. Okay, you know, but you needed that to enter into your like realm of possibility and thought. And like once it clicks, I remember the research, like, and you're finding people that are like saying the same things that you felt, you know, and then you just can't wait to keep looking at like what comes next. And like that's what I'm trying to tell people right now, like what comes next, you know? And you know, I guess if we were to say something to allies, parents, friends right now, right? Like if you know, talk about it, make it comfortable. If you notice something about your kid, if you notice something about your kid, you should say something, you know, you should say something. Do you agree or no?
I agree. I
Right?
agree because, like, I mean, we don't know what type of. I'm not a parent, but they don't know what type of kid they're gonna have. You know what I mean? And my dad, at least I'm super, super, super happy that he's been supportive and understanding with me because he's the type of parent that adapts. And with that being said, he's open to listening. He's open to understanding. And I tell him if I feel these things, and oh my god, when I came out to him, he said no matter oh God. When I came out to him, and he's in Florida, so I don't see him as often. It was over the phone, and I told him I don't feel like a girl. I don't feel like a girl. I feel like a boy, Dad. And he's like, listen, he's like, whatever you do in life, I will support you 100%. I would never cast you away, and I will never abandon you, and you will always be my child. And I'm like, oh, I needed that, man.
Wow.
Um, and hearing that from a parent figure, just it clicks. It makes me happy. I mean, it's affirming, and it makes me
Mm-hmm.
remember. I'm supposed to be here for a reason. I'm here for a reason, and my support from him to have that is something that I needed for such a long time. But to listen to your children, to be open about these conversations, to be attentive, and to not be judgmental is so much better than to casting them out aside and like saying you shouldn't be feeling these things. You know what I mean? And it just helps so much with their growth and their social skills. Like I'm thinking of all the kids that are in like the southern states who are fighting for their gender information care. And
Yep.
this is what I tell like a lot of people. I'm like, this book is what books like these like saves their lives because they need to know how they feel and what they're
You're
feeling
not
is
weird.
okay.
Yep. You're not weird. You're not wrong. You know, and there's a community of people out here that are fighting for you and support you, you know. Um, I guess that leads right into what I was going to ask you next is like, what do you think is our biggest obstacle, right? Facing our community, you know? What do you think it is?
The the misinformation,
Mm,
the the hate that like that consorts all these weird lies and because at first I had been like subjected to it because when I was doing research, I kept getting all the like false information of testosterone and like you're gonna grow and all the bad things about like starting T, which made you concerned like, is this something I'm actually gonna do?
right.
Like, is this something that I want? Um, so it's kind of like overshadowing the good information with false information, and that creates a false rhetoric of what transness is, and it's scary. Like some kids on TikTok, I have my little small following on TikTok, and all the kids are like, "If I do this needle, am I gonna die? Like, is it gonna go in my vein?" And they're because they don't know the
Right.
information, they don't have it, and like at least have this information open to them, so they can know and not be afraid of it. Whether that's like social transitioning, hormone blockers, or anything like that,
Yeah. I feel like we need so much. And it's kind of like we're at where the gay movement was, you know, 20 years ago is what it feels like, you know. And unfortunately, the legislation is such that it is just back to back to back to back, and it's ridiculous, and it's based on hate and fear, you know, for me. And I love what you said because awareness, representation, right? Like misinformation is killing us. And the more that people can see, like, actually, there's two college educated men right here. I, what, you know, there's nothing else to see. And then there's also that fine line of, you know, all of the people and the transphobic people who interact with trans people every day on a daily basis that have no idea. And to me, that's
Absolutely.
like the foundational point. Like you have no idea. You have no idea. And when you have no idea, it's based off of what you see, and that is the definition of transphobia. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've got a lot of obstacles, but I agree with you. Misinformation um is killing us, I think. Literally.
it's like for every positive story or information you're trying to send out, it's very quickly trying to be overshadowed. Like, but what about people who detransition? Well, what about the people who?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, just focus on the people who choose to medically transition, who need the gender affirming care, and the and the
Right.
results of how much better their social and their mentality has become since they've done that. Like,
Well, and if you
oh
look at
god,
the research of the people that detransition, the number one factor in their decision to detransition is social pressure and people in their environment treating them negatively. Like, it's not
Mhm.
necessarily that they were wrong about themselves. Like, they couldn't take how terrible they were being treated and maybe didn't have the way to get out of that environment, you know? Um, we have a lot to overcome, and like that's why you're a hero to me, because I know that you said you saw this on TikTok and you were like, I could write a book, right? But what you've ended up doing is something really, really special and really important that every time I read page 18, I get goosebumps. So I have one more question for you. I want to know, what would you say to your younger self right now?
oh god. Oh, I feel like I play scenarios in my head all the time for
Me
that,
too.
and I'm just like, hey, um,
Hey, Layne, just if you're listening.
despite everything that you think you couldn't handle, you did, and so despite everything you thought you couldn't handle, you did, and the amount of love that you have for yourself, and will get you by. Like, it's okay. I don't know. I just can't.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
Hmm. That's important. And I think that's why youth, trans, and non-binary youth are so important to me, because I just want them to know you'll be okay, right? Like, you'll be okay. And I say, and I want to say on this show every single time, you can reach out to me anytime by email on any social media. So you just said you're okay, you're gonna be okay, and I love that. Sorry, it just gets me all in my feels. So let's get happy again. Tell everybody where they can get your book, how they
So
can
my
get
book
it.
is available on Amazon. Also, if you wanted a signed copy through my website, it's imaprincebook.com. But I also have Twitter and Facebook, and all the links lead back to the website, so it's available there.
Awesome. Well, I am just really thrilled and happy to have been able to talk to you. I want to let everybody know I actually met Damien so randomly. One of my friends on Twitter, Damien had tweeted at him and said, "Do you want a copy of the book?" And I was like, "I want a copy of the book." So I also tweeted in, I just butted into their tweet, and then he sent me one. And so I hope that this is the start of like a really great and long relationship. The next book you write, I want to talk about it on the podcast. I want to link to it. I am I'm proud to know you, and I'm so thankful that you came to talk.
I'm so happy to be here. I was listening to your other podcast the other day, and I was like, I like this. This makes me happy.
Yeah, we gotta tell our stories. Maybe I'll have you come on again and we can like really get nitty gritty about some like, transitioning type stuff, like what people can expect. Okay, everybody. Well, I need a couple of things from you, from my friends. Okay, I need you to subscribe on YouTube, and I need you to go to the website, thereconstructedman.com. If you have any thoughts, any questions, you want to see some shows, you have ideas, hit me up there. You can also follow me on Twitter and follow us on Facebook. We'll see you next time. Peace out.